Welcome to Every Night is Game Night, your home for heavy strategy, awesome theme, and everything in between. Check us out along with other great podcasts at dicetowernetwork.com.
Every Night is Game Night, episode 104, GenCon Reviews, Part 4, Co-ops. Yo, my peoples, what's up? Welcome back to the Every Night is Game Night podcast. I'm your host, Jason. Thank you so much for joining us. Yes, you heard that correct on the jump. Today, we are going to talk co-ops. And when we talk co-ops, Anthony goes away. He has nothing to do with these. He's never played them. He might have played one of these. But anyway, so I'm here and I needed people. I needed to get some people on the call who knew co-op. So I went and called some of my friends over at One Stop Co-op Shop. We have back on the show is Colin. Welcome back to the show, Colin.
Thanks so much for having me, Jason.
And if you listen to the CoOp Cast feed, you know that Colin has paired up with one of his good friends, Steve, and they put out a podcast now. Welcome to the show, Steve.
Thanks, Jason. Looking forward to this.
All right, so we have a bunch of co-op lovers here on the call. We are experts, right, gentlemen?
Absolutely.
If you say so.
Okay, maybe experts is kind of generous, but we love it. That's basically
and that's what matters, right?
Exactly. We play a lot of them. We went to GenCon. If you guys listen to Co-op Cast, they did a co-op preview of GenCon. These gentlemen actually went to GenCon. They picked up a whole bunch of games there. I had to go pick them up wherever I could. And, you know, we have 4 of them for you right now, so we're going to go ahead and talk about them. The co-ops we're going to talk about today in order are Talisman Legendary Tales, SEAL Team Flix, Kitchen Rush, and The Captain is Dead Lockdown. But first, we are going to get to Liz. Liz is going to hit us with the In Liz We Trust segment. As opposed to usually, she actually told us what is going to be previewed ahead of time. It's crazy. So if you know Liz, if you heard the episode 100, you'll know that Baseball Highlights 2045 is one of her favorite games. Here is the follow-up.
Hey gamers, this is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, and I'm here to encourage your Every Night is Game Night acquisition disorder. This week, I want to talk about a project that I am personally excited about, Football Highlights 2052. Many of you know that Baseball Highlights 2045 is one of my all-time favorite games, and I am very excited that Mike Fitzgerald has designed another action-packed sports game. I don't even like sports that much, I just like fast and interesting card play. In Football Highlights, you'll be drafting a team and then deploying your cards as effectively as possible. Each card performs both offensive and defensive plays, meaning that you'll need to choose whether to defend yourself against the other team or try for an intense offensive drive. If you want an intense, action-packed, and tactical card game, Football Highlights 2052 might be for you. Happy gaming!
All right, go ahead and check out Football Highlights, which is live at Kickstarter as we speak. Are you guys Baseball Highlights, Football Highlights? Do you guys aware of that system?
Yeah, I love Baseball Highlights 2045. That's one of my all-time favorite games. I don't know what it is about it. It's just fast and fun, and I don't know. The tension's there for me. I love how I can just sit down and play like a full season in like 30 minutes.
What about you, Colin? Any or is that not a co-op, so you just didn't even look at it?
Actually, no, I have a playthrough of that one on the channel because thanks to Steve, I decided to check it out, and the solo mode is actually quite fun. So I enjoy it. Definitely not as much as Steve does, but I certainly am keeping that one in my collection.
All right, that is Football Highlights. Go ahead and check that one out right now. But that is not a co-op. That's not why you're here. You're here for co-ops. That's what these gentlemen are here for. So let's talk about some co-ops. So if you go over to Colin's channel, which is One Stop Co-op Shop, you'll see some playthroughs of some of these, including this first one we're going to talk about, which is by far, the lightest one we're going to talk about today. This is Talisman Legendary Tales. Go ahead and hit us up with some knowledge, Colin.
Yeah, okay, you guys, this is a great game. I would say You're definitely going to want to play this probably with some kids. My 2 kids, I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and they play this one with me. I've played all 5 of the scenarios with them.
Whoa. 2 years old? How much playing is a 2-year-old really doing?
Well, okay, so he's not making decisions, we'll be honest, but he is pulling out the chits from the bag and loves that, the little tokens. So, and then when you grab it, it's got a sword on it, he gets all excited. It's great. I'm telling you, it makes the game so much fun. That's the reason why I'm keeping it, is because my kids love it so much. But yeah, a little bit about the game. So in Talisman, the players are going to work together as a party of adventurers, and we're going to be trying to recover the 5 legendary talismans that have been lost. Now, if you've played the original Talisman games, throw that out of your mind. It's nothing like that. Totally different, okay? You're going to have 5 separate adventures, and then during each adventure, the party will work together to try and find one of the 5 talismans. You'll play them in order. You can repeat them, so there's nothing that's legacy about it, but the stories will progress, so you'll want to do them at least in order, and then you can maybe play with a different group or a different set of kids if you want and start from the beginning. So it's definitely what I would call a roll and move at the beginning of your turn.
What you would call a roll and move. It's a roll and move.
Well, I'm just thinking of Monopoly. It's got that Monopoly feel where you've got 1 die instead of 2. You'll have 1 die, and you can decide whether you want to move or not. After that, then you will either encounter something if something's there. Otherwise, your turn's done, and you'll move to the next person. These encounters are these little encounter tokens, and they'll have symbols on them, like swords or hats. Those are the 2 main symbols that you're going to see in the game. If you want to encounter whatever is in your space, what you do is you draw 3 tokens from your personal bag. After you do that, if you have symbols that match those encounters in your location, you defeat them. If you don't, then you don't defeat them. But they don't attack you, so you never take any damage. Okay? All you're going to do is draw from your bag, and then after you've drawn from your bag, you'll leave those tokens sitting out on the table. And when it's the next time for you to draw from your bag, you can make a determination on if you want to grab all of the tokens that are out of your bag, put them back into your bag and redraw, or if you want to just draw from the bag of tokens that you have left. And why that matters is because how the game progresses is through the tokens that you're drawing and from the number 4 on the die.
Which you roll like a billion times when you're doing the playthrough.
Yes, I love number 4. It's a great number, let me tell you. But so what this number 4 does, or some of the tokens in your bag, they have a time symbol. And what that simply means is you move the time tracker 1 step up. And if ever that time tracker gets to the end of the track before you have found the talisman, you lose the game. But if you're able to complete the adventure before you have moved the time tracker too far, then you win that specific adventure, and then you can move to the next adventure. So during the game, the types of things that you're going to be making a decision on are when you draw from your bag, you might have a token that lets you grab a token from another bag or from your own. So you get to decide, okay, I'm pretty good at swords. So if I'm good at swords and I need one, maybe I'll grab from my bag. But maybe Steve over there has a lot of hats and I need a hat. So I can grab from his bag to help me, potentially. The other decision you'll be making is whenever you defeat one of those encounters, you get to grab a random token and you can put it in anybody's bag. So that's the best part for my 4-year-old, because he starts to connect the, Dad's good at hats. So if Dad's good at hats and this is a hat token, I'm going to put that into his bag, not mine. So that way we're more likely to draw the hats when we draw from Dad's bag. It's wonderful. It's like that simple first step in understanding how to co-op together, which is wonderful. I love it. And so the 4-year-old gets that. The 2-year-old doesn't. He'll just grab it out of the bag. But that's kind of your decisions that you're going to have in the game, and then the decision of if you want to move or not, because if you don't move, then you don't have to roll the die and you don't have that potential of getting the time passes on the number 4. But other than that, it's just going to be a nice simple story with you progressing through the adventure. So yeah, that would be Talisman.
Okay, so Steve, have you played the original Talisman?
I have not, but I'm very familiar with it.
Or you've watched like streaming videos of it?
Exactly.
Okay. It's a little weird.
Yeah.
Wow, that is not what a game I'm going to be watching streaming videos of. Anyway.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it.
So I've played plenty of Talisman in my day. Some friends of mine are kind of chuckling to themselves right now because they know I'm not a huge fan. If you are not aware, it's basically like fantasy Monopoly where you're rolling and you're just kind of like going and there's billion of decisions, all sorts of crazy stuff happens to you. It takes 5 hours and it's a lot. But. So there's a lot of kind of IP stuff that associated with Talisman, and since it's been around a long time, people have a lot of attachment to it. So like, crossing the river and getting turned into a frog and, meeting the dragon or whatever it is. Like, why didn't they just include any of that stuff? Like, this is called Talisman, for crying out loud.
But they do. So you can be turned into a frog. I didn't know that. So see, I've never watched or played. I've never watched streaming. But there are things that happen in later adventures that happen just like that. You meet a dragon. You can be turned into a frog. I didn't understand why. Now I get it.
Now you get it. Oh, that is the worst thing that happened because you can go one space and you can't actually do anything.
Oh my gosh. But if you're a frog, you should be able to leap spaces. Come on. What is this?
Close. You're a tiny frog. That's a mighty leap. Okay, so it does have some callbacks.
Yeah, so it does. And that's something that I would say actually about the overall game. Something that I do really like are a lot of times the art makes a difference. And I think that's really cool. So when you're looking at the actual tiles that you're moving across, because one of the things is the map is not just a board. They're all little hexagon tiles that you'll put together in a different order each time you play. Now, there isn't a ton of variety of those. I think there's only 12 or something in there, but you'll put them in different orders. But a lot of times your adventure, you're going to need to find specific art on those tiles.
Okay.
Yeah,
Which I think is kind of cool. It's a way of adding in a different element. All of a sudden I was like looking specifically at the art for specific things, and I thought that was kind of cool.
So that is Talisman, Legendary Tales. A thumbs up from Colin. It looks very, very cute. Sounds like it's good for families. And, if you're a Talisman fan... if you have that Venn diagram of like a Talisman fan and you have very, very young children, you might really, really get a lot out of this. So that's pretty cool. Thank you very much, my man.
Not a problem, Jason.
That's why I have you on the call. That's why I put up the co-op signal, like the bat signal. What does the co-op signal look like in if it was like a bat symbol, what would it be?
Like a handshake. Come on.
But that's like the United Way.
I know, that's a good point. Dang it, I was thinking to myself, what is that? That is totally the other way. Dang it. Okay, I don't know.
We got to workshop that one.
Yeah, we do.
See what we come up with. All right, so this next game we're going to talk about, Colin has put together but not played. Steve is, I imagine, Steve, you've gotten a lot of play out of this because I know you like this like infiltration stuff, right?
Oh, I love it.
All right, so this is SEAL Team Flix. This was designed by Pete Ruth and Mark Thomas, published by WizKids, our friends over at WizKids. Okay, so this is a cooperative dexterity flicking game. So this is, speaking of Venn diagrams, so like in terms of the cooperative and the dexterity stuff, not a lot of overlap there. Really, there's only a handful of games, including Flip Ships, which you guys talked about, I know. And then do you have a playthrough of Flip Ships on your channel at least?
I don't, actually. I want to because I like that one. Mike hated it.
Yes. Mike is also on CoOp Cast. He is not a flicking fan. This game a little bit more friendly to the flickers. I'll talk about that in a second. So in this game, you are an elite military soldier, and you have a bunch of missions that will play out in these modular zones. You'll be rescuing prisoners. You'll be capturing masterminds. And of course, because it's a flicking game, you'll be shooting lots and lots of bad guys. So there's a couple things to note about this production, and it's a very big production. It's a very heavy box. A lot of cardboard.
Of cardboard.
There is
it's
so
charcoal.
much. And when you punch everything out, you might have a game's worth of cardboard punched out that you're going to throw away. It's a lot. So the two aspects of the game. So the first one is the cardboard 3D map, which it's a big table-sized map or something like that. And then you're going to be constructing these walls, very small walls, but, enough to kind of block the path of the little disc you'd be flicking. And you're going to do that for 6 different maps. And, so you have like the airport and the hotel and different subway. One of my favorites because I'm a New Yorker. I love the subway. So did you guys spend more time putting this together than playing the game?
It takes like less than an hour to play the game like, in sitting. So yeah, definitely. It took a long time to put those maps together.
It's an entire evening. I think I spent an entire evening putting those together. Mine does not fit in the box though. Colin, you're gonna have to give me the secret sauce of getting all those maps to fit in the box.
Push down harder.
Sit on it.
That's what I'm gonna say.
It's like luggage.
These two are wimps. Okay, all you gotta do is push down a little harder. Have some elbow grease. Come on.
How dare you? I'm not going to besmirch my game. How dare you? Anyway, so you have these maps, and once you've controlled the maps, you've picked one out, you are going to control your little Marine mini. You don't flick the mini himself, you don't flick the Marine. What you do is you're going to move around the board, and you are going to flick the discs. And you have equipment, so the equipment is going to determine what size of disc you're going to flick. So you might, shoot a whole bunch of little ones. You'd have a little submachine gun. You're going, or you might, take one big one, the big green disc, and you might just like blow up a bunch of things. And so you're gonna be flicking those discs. You're gonna be, there's bombs, so you could flick the disc into a room and like it simulates, explosions. It's really, really cool how it kind of works all this stuff out. And it does the good flicking stuff. Like, you have to kind of calculate corners and work out your angles, and you can make bank shots and, kill. All of a sudden, if you make a really good shot, you can kill like 2 or 3 bad guys that are just kind of flowing out of the sides of the room. It does a really good job. So you're going to take 2 actions, and usually your action is going to be move and shoot. Or if you just feel like setting up like a turret, shoot and shoot. All that kind of stuff. The enemies will fire back, but the firing back is not a disc. It's a dice roll. So if you're in line of sight, either at the end of a movement or during its own enemy phase, they're just going to roll dice, and that's how the game kind of fights back against you. Then the one other piece, I can go into the whole bunch of mechanics. I'm not going to go into the whole thing. The one part that I really, really enjoyed, we could talk about this in a second. Not only do you have like the main missions, right? So you're going to go in, you're going to do whatever the mission is, but you also have these little cutscene things. So like there are these sideboards where you get to do different like sub things. So like, let's say you have to defuse a bomb. That's a sideboard, and you set up, whatever you have to set up on the board, and then you flick and to simulate kind of defusing a bomb or unlocking a door. Or, that somebody is a hostage and you have to like flick in order to shoot the person without shooting the hostage. Like, it's really cool. Oh my God. I didn't think I would have so much fun with these, but it seemed very cinematic too. I'm getting ahead of myself though. Steve is an infiltration gamer. He loves this stuff. So I was really eager to see what you thought of SEAL Team Flix.
Yes. I must admit, when I first purchased the game, I had different expectations than what actually wound up being played. Like, I was expecting kind of a lighter, easier dexterity game, because normally when I hear dexterity, I think lighter, and this one wasn't that case for me. I know what your experience, Jason, was, but for me, I felt like my decisions really mattered, and it matters because how the AI moves in this game is they move based upon, there's like these set paths, and they move based upon areas, and within a given area, if they see you, they'll like jump into cover. And I was just planning like one turn in advance or something, like, okay, he's going to be here, I can move here, that's fine, no big deal. But that wasn't enough for me, and I would get myself in a corner and in trouble, and I would just get mowed down. So it wasn't good. In fact, I played a solo campaign. I lost as quickly as you can in a solo campaign. I lost all the missions right away. It was really, really bad. But it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it, so...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what you're talking about, so in terms of the tactical stuff, like, this is not, Flip Ships is just it's a straight up flicking game. Or it's something else, like, Dungeon Fighter. Dungeon Fighter is a very, very light game. That's a game from a couple of years ago. This one, like, there's a lot of tactics involved here. You get your 2 moves, and you're moving, you don't actually get a lot of chance to move. So, like, you move 4 spaces, which is small in this board, and that's it. Like, there's no diagonal movement. So you're only going to be able to move a little bit of a way. So like, you can't like kind of stick and move and run around, places. You're kind of, very often you're going to put yourself in the line of fire, which I guess the game wants to encourage because they want you to flick a lot. I kind of had difficulty with that because I like games where I have a lot of tactical movement, and this is a dudes in a map game. I know it's a flicking game, but it is a dudes in a map game. I wanted that flexibility to have like more movement. If you go to a door, your movement stops. It's like, come on, can I just bust through the door and keep moving? I'm a Marine. Why is a door going to stop me? I didn't think the movement was very flexible. So what ended up happening was I ended up getting into these kind of like shootouts, basically in the first or second room. So it's like, you take your position and the enemies just come, and you're just, flicking. And, that's fun. And there were some definitely, some rooms are better with that than others. The rooms where I had the most fun were the rooms where I can really get into the tactical movements of it, work my angles and duck behind corners and everything. There's some rooms that are like big, open. That's not, that's just basically shootout territory. That wasn't as fun. But yeah, look at this. I'm talking about a flicking game, for crying out loud. I'm talking about this tactical movement. For the most part, yeah, I agree with you. I really enjoyed this. It's not easy. I played it on easy, just to be able to get through some of the missions. I did also play. I guess I got 2/3 of the way through a campaign, something like that. I thought it was really good. I think there's more that can be done. The movement is a little bit difficult. Steve, did you find the enemy movement and positioning a little fiddly?
No, actually, I found that pretty easy to get used to. It didn't take too long. I still have to look at the back of the rule sheet, the rule book, but it's pretty clear there. Yeah,
I don't know. I felt like it was like the sentries, because there's two different types of patrols. I'm not sure why there were two. The sentries have different rules, and the actual pathing, the pathing patrols have different lines, and the mastermind does a different thing. So it's a little bit kind of heady. Like you were saying before, I was expecting kind of a casual time, and it's kind of not, because of the way you have to kind of keep track of the movement. So definitely kind of walking into the different expectations of it.
Yeah, there's some interesting things that I had to learn as playing this game so the sentries, like you're saying, they're designed to guard objectives. So they never move from their starting area. They'll like go find cover, but that's basically it. The patrols will actually come find you. But like when we talk about moving to the doors, I had the same issue where I first started playing. Like I run up to the door, then I kind of open the door, get shot, and it wasn't really working out so well. Until you figured out that you can go up to the door, unlock it, step to the side, and then open the door and shoot from an angle. So you can actually it's thematically what you're doing is like peeking open the door and like doing a little breach going on. And it was actually really fun once I started figuring that out.
Did you play with two players, or did you play with just one?
I've done both.
Yeah, I like the two way better. I don't like the one so much. The two, you get coordination. You can actually do that. One person can go up and open it. The other person can go in and shoot. If it's just one, then you're going up and you waste a lot of stuff here. Do not recommend this one. It actually says you can play with one character. I wouldn't recommend that play with two. But we're used to playing with two characters as co-op players. So.
Yeah, no, 2 was great. I was covering a hallway as a sniper while my buddy was going around breaking some locks. So I was providing some covering fire, covering his back end. So it was a lot of fun.
Colin, when is the playthrough of SEAL Team Flix going to go up?
Well, I first have to learn it. Probably sometime in October, though. As long as Steve is planning on still coming up to Minnesota, he's going to teach me. So then I'm hoping to get a playthrough of it out at that point.
All right, cool. So definitely thumbs up, right? Right, Steve?
Oh, yeah, I do recommend this one.
Yeah,
it's very, very unique.
So it's a really good one. So that is SEAL Team Flix. All right, so now we are going to jump back to Colin, who, when I said that I was going to be reviewing this game, Colin's like, yes, I've played this game like 40 times. This is great. This is Kitchen Rush. So Kitchen Rush came out. When did Kitchen Rush come out? Was it last year? From Artipia?
Yeah, I think beginning of 2017.
Right. So this came out beginning of 2017, but it was featured by Stronghold Games, who brought it over this year, and they featured it at GenCon, which is why we're reviewing it now as part of our GenCon episode. So this was designed by David Tercey, who can do no wrong with me. David Tercey has designed a lot of good games. He designed Anachrony, he designed Days of Ire, and a couple of other games that I'm really interested in. All right, so this is a real-time game. So we're doing a lot of like kinetic, frenetic stuff over here. Oh, I forgot. There is a real-time element to SEAL Team Flix too. Like, what is it? The time bomb defusal takes an hourglass. You have to like flick in a certain amount of time.
That's correct. That one is timed. Yep.
Yeah. How did you do in that one?
No, not so good. I'm a horrible flicker. I don't know why about the game.
I was going to ask you, Jason, what is your level of flickness?
Okay, so I know it's our talking picture, but I'll take it aside. So I demoed. So last year I was at PAX and I demoed flip ships for Renegade. Did not like that game to begin with, but the more I demoed it, the better I got. And so by the end of it, I was like flicking like a demon.
3 ships? No problem.
No problem.
Far away? No problem. Close up? Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, this is a different style of flick, but like because I've kind of gotten a little bit of practice with it, I was actually pulling off some pretty good moves over there. I cannot do the hardest mode, though. I cannot. That is not even close to happening. I like the little casual, maybe a little bit normal, but hard mode, no thanks.
Yeah, see, I just choose someone who's actually good at flicking so I can actually win these games. So I rely on my buddy Eliza, who's actually pretty good at this game. So
there you go. All right, so let's get to actually, this game does require a little bit of dexterity as well. So the Kitchen Rush. I'll tell you why in a second. So this is a real-time game about running a restaurant, as I was saying. You're going to be doing all the restaurant stuff. You're going to be letting customers in. You're going to be taking their orders, cooking their food, seasoning the food, serving it. Also some of the back end stuff, you're going to be, buying more food or buying more kind of raw materials to cook the dishes, washing dishes, buying upgrades. You're doing all that. Like, wow, you're actually doing all that in one game. Yeah, you're doing all that stuff. Not only are you doing all that, you're doing it in real time. And the real time is where the game kind of gets to be a lot of fun. So each of these things that I've described are a separate space on the board. And worker placement style, you're going to be activating that space. Only the workers in this game are hourglasses. They are 30-second sand timers. So what you're going to do is you're going to put the worker and it's going to drain, or the sand's going to start to drain, and that will indicate that you're using that space. And you cannot take that worker back until the sand runs out. So you're going to be placing worker, and you're watching the sand timer go, and you're going like, oh my God, I gotta start, take these workers out because I have other things to do. Because you have to do a lot, So, I mean, there's a lot of things that are like that are different actions. So just to give you a sense of the game flow. So let's say a bunch of people are around the table. You're going to have a row of customers, and you're going to, take their order. They're going to order beef stroganoff. That's an action. And then you're going to go to the pantry. The pantry is an action. You're going to get the ingredients, which for that one has to be 2 beef and a piece of bread. There's some delicious food, by the way. Some really good dishes over there, like, real, what is it, eggplant lasagna and all that kind of stuff. It's delicious. It's not now you're fast food nonsense over here. Anyway, so you're going to so that's an action to get stuff in the pantry. And then you're going to you're going to collect this stuff and you're going to put it on your plate and your personal board. And then you're going to season it. Getting the seasonings in action. And you're going to cook it. Cooking's in action. So these is all stuff that you have to like take your hourglass and you have to put it on the workers every single time. And you have to do it pretty fast, like as soon as that sand timer's out, you have to like notice. And that's the game, right? That you have to be able to be efficient with your movements. You have to be observant and you have to say, okay, you can't waste time. And because it'll happen where you're so into doing one thing, you're looking at your hourglass and the hourglass has been sitting there for like a minute and you only have 4 minutes in a round. So you have to get all accomplished. That is a waste. So you have to really keep track of when your workers are available so that you can take them and put them somewhere else. So, then you're going to cook the meals and then you have to cook a certain number of meals per round. And if you don't do it, you're lose, or you get some sort of penalty or whatever it is. So that's really the kind of flow of the game, so you're going to, serve a bunch of meals. Hopefully you beat the round threshold and then you're going to do that 4 times. After each round, you'll be able to like kind of add up your money and buy upgrades, buy more plates, buy more hourglasses, that kind of thing. After 4 rounds, you're going to see, if you met the entire threshold for the entire game. That's the basic flow of the game. There's extras to it. There's events if you really want to, you really get good at the game. A lot of different little extras at all. And there's also an expansion called Piece of Cake that I haven't tried, but we're just going over the base, the game right now. So, Colin, you are a person that has played this. I'm assuming you have not played this with your 2 and 4-year-old.
No, this is definitely not a 2 and 4-year-old game. Although you could do it out of real time, it'd be pretty fun, right? I mean, they could match the different types of food. But yeah, no, love this game. I think the biggest reason is because as a player, you have 2 workers, and then you also within the group have at least 1 assistant. So when you're doing one action, you can start doing the next one with your other worker. And then if you still want to do something else and both of your sand timers are being used, you can grab the assistant and do that. And so you're always doing something. And I think that's what's fun about real-time games. And it really gets you that with Kitchen Rush. But there are those times when all of your sand timers are going, you're just going, okay, come on. Okay,
yeah.
I can go. And yeah. I don't know about you, but the oven is always full at the end of the game. Okay. Or at the end of the round. You're just, I just got to cook this one more time, but everybody's in there cooking their blasted food at the same time. And so, anyways, it's great. It's so much fun. And I've played it with a ton of different types of people too. So I played with gamers and I played with non-gamers. One group, this is the first, any game outside of Monopoly that they played, and they loved it. And I just think that's a great positive for a game, is to be able to be used both by gamers and by non-gamers alike. And they all loved it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of real time, right? There's you can have real time and it kind of forces coordination, but it does it in different ways. So you have a game like Captain Sonar or Space Alert, that you have your set roles and you're contributing whatever you got into the party. So that's a way to coordinate. Those games are fun. This game, you don't actually have set roles. You just kind of are there and you have your personal thing and you're trying to cook meals. But you end up kind of specializing anyway. I'm next to the dishes.
Yep.
So if I notice a bunch of dishes, then I'm going to be the one that does the dishes. I'm next to the money I'll be the one that's in charge of buying upgrades. And I'll make sure that the pantry is stacked or whatever it is. So I love that. I love that it forces you to specialize, but it leaves it open to you. So the specialization and the coordination happens much more organically, which is a really cool challenge, right? And then the other thing about, having your powers of observation to be able to notice when your sand timer is running out. So you don't want that sand timer just sitting there. And if it is, you're doing it wrong.
Yes, you're
and it happens
lose.
all the time. You're just going to lose. I agree with Colin. I really, really like this one. I was so excited to finally get it in and get some plays. Because I'd seen it a bunch when the Atipia came out. I had to wait for the Stronghold edition. So that's a lot of good stuff. Steve, you haven't played Kitchen Rush, have you?
I have not played this one.
Are you a real-time person?
Oh yeah, I like real-time games for sure.
Then what do you think? He's going to enjoy this?
Absolutely. I'm hoping we're going to play it in October, and it's going to be a blast.
Awesome. So some negatives. I think, Colin, I'm glad to hear that you had success with this game with non-gamers. I tried to show this game to my wife and my wife's a cook and she plays Cooking Fever, the app on the phone, which is ancient at this point. And, everybody has at one point had a time of time when they played that game for 5 months or whatever. So it's all this. I thought this was going to be right up her alley. There was a lot going on, because you have your two workers and you have the assistant and then you have all the spaces, and it was very overwhelming for her. And I've also had limitations bringing it to a meetup. So I'll lay it out and I'll start to explain it, and it takes a while to explain it. People are like, nah, I'm good.
Huh.
Yeah, it just took a long, it just, for the theme and for, the cooking theme, you figure, and, the art styles, everything's very inviting. I countered that it was a little bit of a higher barrier than I thought it was going to be.
Jason, I can totally see that. I'm curious how. So what I did when I played it with my wife and with our two non-gamer friends is we played the whole first 2 rounds not in real time. We just moved the pieces around and was like, okay, when you go here, these are all the things you can be able to do. And oh, okay, this starts to make sense. And then in round 3 and round 4, we brought in where you flip the timers and we had the time limit. And then they were like, okay, let's play game 2. So we played game 2 and we played the whole thing regularly. And then all of a sudden we started going through all the different difficulties. So I don't know if what helped with me was that I had the game already set up. So they didn't have to wait for me to set up, because the game takes forever to set up, because there's all the little pieces, all the different foods, which is great, right? But it also means it takes forever to get onto the table. But once you have it up on the table, it's pretty self-explanatory if you let them maybe play it maybe a round or two not in real time, and then they can really start to understand what they're doing, why they're doing that action. I don't know. That's just an idea if you're trying to get it to the table.
Yeah, we actually did try that, and even then my friends were like, yeah, I'm good.
Oh.
Yeah,
you just have bad friends then. come on.
I do. I gotta get better friends. I yelled in the last episode about needing more co-op friends in Connecticut. Come on, please. I'm dying over here. A couple of other things. Did you knock over the hourglasses a lot?
Oh, yes.
Like,
especially at four-player. Especially at four-player.
Oh, you get knocked over all the time. I wonder if it would have been better to have like square bases or something, or like, differently constructed workers, like, little inverted pyramid type things, so it's harder to knock down. These things get knocked down all the time, and it's like basically like cheating because it pauses your timer.
Yeah, and actually, but it makes it harder. So what we always do is if you knock it over, you have to be the one to put it back up. And, so it makes you try and be more cognizant. And it kind of felt like it worked with the theme where it's like you can't run into each other, right? You got to be able to work around each other. I always, I'm trying to do the dishes and Monica's trying to cut up the food, and we got to make sure we can fit into the specific area in our own kitchen. So it's like the same thing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking of that, the last part, and every time I play this, I skip this part, is the spice bag.
No.
No.
I do a spice cup. That's
I put the cubes out.
Oh, you just do the... Oh, okay.
Because if I'm cooking, I know where my spices are.
That's true. What,
I don't have to look
it with their eyes closed. I guess you're right.
I know what my paprika is. I know what my salt and pepper is. I know the difference between salt and pepper, for crying out loud. I don't have to reach into a bag for it.
How many times, Jason, have you been like, I have enough of that spice, and then you go in there and you go, oh my gosh, there's none in there. I totally finished it up. I didn't realize it. So maybe it's kind of giving you that feel, right? Where you might run out and you don't even know it. I don't know.
I know exactly how much spice.
Okay, I tried.
I just didn't like the bag. It's easy enough to play without the bag, or play with a cup, or play with something else, or whatever.
Just have it out. Just have it out.
Minor stuff, for the most part. I think Colin and I are both on the same page. Kitchen Rush is a definite recommendation. Love it. Love it for solo. Solo works too. It's good at 2. At 4, it's a little bit overwhelming, like Colin was saying, but I think just at all player counts, I think it's a it's a winner. So go ahead and check that one out. Now, so you've noticed that we've talked about 3 games that 2 of us have played, or I think in Colin's case, only you played Talisman, right?
Yeah, I think it was just me.
Now we're getting into a game where all 3 of us have played, and we all have some opinions in this one, my friends. So this one is The Captain is Dead Lockdown. Steve, I'm going to bring it back in. Tell us about The Captain is Dead.
So The Captain is Dead Lockdown is episode 2 of this game series. I'll briefly mention what episode 1 means, but basically these are all standalone games, but they're trying to link these together to be like a TV series, essentially. So the first Captain is Dead, you're on a starship, think like Star Trek, for example. And fortunately, the captain died in this horrible attack on this starship. And so, as players, you are various roles of the starship. It could be like an engineer, could be the admiral, could be the janitor. And in that first one, you're trying to escape from the aliens. So in episode 2, Lockdown, continues that story just thematically, but you don't really have to play the first one. In that you did escape from these aliens attacking your ship, but your drives were damaged and you've been captured by the aliens and thrown into an alien prison. So Lockdown is all about breaking out of this alien prison. So in this game, you are trying to repair an alien ship to escape. And this is on the boards a layout of a prison. You've got different areas you can go to, like a maintenance area, a storage room. You can go to the warden's office, a mess hall, and all these locations have different features that you can unlock and access. For example, if you go to Armory, you may be able to get into a weapons locker and find some grenades. Or if you go to the launch bay, you can actually access that alien ship you need to launch to win the game. What's interesting about this one is the aliens. There's a variety of aliens you can have. So there's some infantry, some patrol stars who walk around, and commanders, and some various different types that all do different things. And on your turn, it's pretty simple, actually. You have generally 4 actions, but the action count can vary based upon the character you choose. So you spend all those actions, and the actions could be something like moving, could be like accessing these different features in those rooms, or it could be like attacking the aliens. And when you're done with the actions, all you do is you draw a card from the alert deck, and then the next person goes. And the alert deck consists of level 1, level 2, and level 3 cards, and they're stacked progressively, getting harder. So as the game goes on, it gets worse and worse for you trying to escape. So there's a couple of ways you can win. Like I said, you can go to launch bay and try to repair this alien ship to escape, or the other way, you can potentially essentially repair it is eliminating all the aliens in the prison, and that will give you an automatic repair. But that's kind of the game without going into a whole lot of detail. It's very very straightforward. There's not a whole lot of unique elements in this game, but I find this to be a great game to bring out with a lot of non-gamers, and just like if you want a lighter game. I have the first one, and it always hits a table for me with my friends and family.
That's definitely the theme of this episode is games for non-gamers.
Yeah,
didn't do that on purpose. Where's the Spirit Island? We need the Spirit Island co-op, the big complicated one.
Maybe some Gloomhaven. Come on.
There you go. Whereas I guess this year we haven't had like a big complicated co-op, have we yet?
Yeah, no, we haven't. Not really.
Gotta get one.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Captain is Dead Lockdown is not that. I mean, it's a pure co-op. Like if you've played Pandemic, you've played this game really. I mean, this game has a skin of, has the cool Star Trek-y type skin. What really stands out about both the Captain is Dead and this one is the fact that the ship has a lot of pieces to interact with. So in Pandemic, you're not interacting with Riyadh. You're not interacting with Beijing. It doesn't do anything. It's just there, and you're interacting with your cards. In this game, you go to different spaces, like Steve was saying, like, the garage or the control center or whatever, and they all do a thing. So, and they break. So in this game, breaking kind of is, you get shot out by the aliens. So it's basically the same thing. So you have to play cards, to unlock it and be able to do stuff with it. That's what you're here for. You're here for that board character interaction. You're here to explore ways in which you can kind of make that happen. And also, gun down some aliens, which is pretty satisfying in of itself. I know you really like this game, Steve. So I'll give you a little bit of room to kind of talk about why this game in particular sings with you.
Yeah, so the main reason why I like it is because it's very straightforward. It's easy for people to jump in. I have a lot of fun with the different character combinations. So there's a ton of different roles in this game. And so it's interesting trying to figure out what type of strategies you can try and employ with a different combination of characters. Some may be better than others in certain situations. And the aliens do different things, which makes it quite fun and interesting. But it's just a real simple, easy game that's wound up being quite fun with all my family and friends.
Steve forgot to mention one other thing, and that is he loves stealth games, and this has a little bit of an element of stealth because you're trying to slip around where the aliens are too. So I think a part of the enjoyment is that stealth feel. If you like the stealth games like Burgle Brothers, you might like this game because you do get that feel of you're trying to avoid the aliens, or you try and blow them up because that's fun too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little bit of Metal Gear Solid-ish game. I think SEAL Team Flix actually gives you a lot more of that feeling of that infiltration and taking enemies out one at a time, all that kind of stuff.
Agreed.
Man, I really wanted to like this game. I really did. I do like the infiltration as well. I mean, Captain is Dead was a cool game. I still had in my collection. This game, okay, so I just had a really. Like you mentioned before, the 2 victory conditions, right? And that's unique among co-op. Usually there's only one way to win. And I think that was a criticism of the previous game. There was only one way to win that game, and it was kind of boring. You went to one room, you discarded the same card every single time, and you fixed the drive and you went. Here it's kind of the same thing, but they also give you this alternate condition of wiping out all the aliens. I played the game just 3 straight times, and I just won handily all 3 times. I had different layouts. I had different characters. There's a million characters, like you said. And it just became really easy to do a certain thing, to blow up a whole room of aliens, or to arrange one of the teleporter things. So the teleporter, they basically teleport on top of a bomb. There's like a med bot that you can do. Then you make him and he kills whatever alien shows up there. So you set that up. It's like boom, boom, boom. They just die. And the entire time, there's different roles, but I'm doing the same things with the roles because I'm just committing murder all over the place. And, the murder kind of breaks your stealth, but then there's items, upgrades you can get so that it doesn't break your stealth to kill so many aliens. Once you get those, then you just kind of go to town. And I don't know, yes, you can make it harder, but I don't want to have to make a game harder, especially a co-op. I want that challenge. I want to get kind of beat up a little bit, like SEAL Team Flix will beat you up a little bit. Kitchen Rush will beat you up a little bit. You have to get good at it. That's inviting. This game just kind of fell over. I mean, I don't know, man. like, maybe I just had like a magical combination of stuff happen, but I tried it 3 times, and solo and in groups and everything. Like the 3 times in solo, and then I played it in group. In the group, we ended up winning as well. It's a lot of winning, and winning is that often is kind of boring.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have a valid criticism going on there a bit, where if you are trying to limit all the aliens, once the board's clear of aliens, you immediately add a few to the board, essentially, and then it's kind of easy to try to stay on top of that if you can. But in my experiences, that does work, but only for a limited amount of time. And then at some point, something happens where the strategy I built up to maintain that control of the board just falls apart, and then I have to figure out a new method or strategy to work. In fact, this kind of happened at GenCon. I was playing this with Colin and his friend Timothy, where we were playing this game, and I had to step away from the game for a few minutes to run to the event hall. And when I left the game, we were doing a real good job, everything's in control, and I came back, and it was, I don't know, it was gone for me like 5 minutes or something like that, and it just, you guys, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, we had 20 aliens on the board. It was bad. We got annihilated in that play too.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, so when you get on top of the aliens, like, you end up doing weird stuff with your characters. So, like, I'm a scientist. Why is a scientist going and, like, murdering aliens in the different rooms? Like, it just kind of created some off stuff. Like, when you don't generally do that in Pandemic. Like, in Pandemic, you might have a turn or two where the scientist has to go clear a bunch of cubes, or like, so you go off roll, which is cool. But like, that as a strategy to win, you're gonna lose if you do that in Pandemic too often. Here, it just kind of like, I was able to kind of execute the win off of that kind of movement. I didn't enjoy that part. I don't know. Like, the stealth. There was an upgrade to kind of take the stealth option off the table. So, killing aliens did not cost you concealment or whatever it is. So, okay, there's a stealth game until it's not, kind of thing. I don't know. It fell flat for me. I just didn't, I kind of moved on from it. But, I'm glad you guys had a good time with it.
Yeah, I would say, Jason, if I were in your position, the next time I played it, I would try and not win that way and see if I still enjoyed it. But I see what you're saying. You don't want to have to try something different to enjoy a game. I mean, it totally makes sense. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't want to go in one hand time behind my back. Like, if I'm going to go out a game, I just want to be like, okay, it's my best versus your best. Let's do it. And, if your game beats me, the game beats me. So, like, I love games that go stories. That game will beat me up. Or, a lot of these other co-ops, like the more difficult ones. I don't like losing every single time, but like, like, give me some challenge. And I just didn't feel the challenge. And, and like, there's some games that are not as challenging, but you could still enjoy them. I felt like, if it's not going to be challenging, this game is kind of a very Pandemic-ish. And I have a lot of that in my life. I have a whole shelf. You guys can't see, but I have a whole shelf full of Pandemic, and there's more to come because Pandemic Rise of Rome is coming. I'm getting that first day. It's gonna happen. So I just didn't offer enough to separate itself from the pack, and not a lot of challenge. I don't want to talk too much about it because I know Steve, you had a really good time with it. People do have a good time with the Captain's Lockout. I just can only speak for myself, and it was kind of a disappointment for me. All right, that was 4 co-op adventures. We are getting a little bit long over here because we love talking about games.
Sorry, Jason.
No, we do it. This is why I invite you on, Colin. Your enthusiasm is just crazy.
Well, you better believe it. I love games. Come on.
Yeah, we're playing games.
Yeah.
Look what we're talking about over here. How could you not be enthusiastic?
Just don't trust Colin when he says he wants to talk for 30 minutes only, because that doesn't work out in our experiences.
I know, we're just going to do a short podcast.
Yeah, whoops.
Anyway, so that's 4 co-ops. Thank you guys so much for filling in. It would be kind of a boring podcast if I just sat here talking about myself. So thank you guys for stepping up and helping me out.
Our pleasure.
Thanks, Jason. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so plug some stuff. Tell us where we can reach you and, where we can see your content.
Thanks, Jason. Yeah, so if you guys are looking for any playthroughs of co-ops, that's pretty much what I do, co-ops and solo games. You can check me out at One Stop Co-op Shop. You can also send me an email at onestopcoopshop@gmail.com. We also have our podcast at CoOp Cast. You can find that on SoundCloud. You can find that on Google Play, on iTunes, all of that jazz.
We also have a Slack community you can join. You can email us at mvpboardgames@gmail.com or the One Stop Gmail account that Colin mentioned, and we'll get you invited.
that community is really fun. I like to drop in there and talk some smack to you guys.
Oh, there's lots of smack talk between the Lord of the Rings LCG and Arkham LCG debate coming up, and the top 10 list we recently talked about. I know Jason's been having quite fun on that chat. So
you guys are insane.
I know, no pandemic at all. It's kind of insane for Jason. I get it.
They did a list of co-ops. No regular pandemic. No time stories. No Hanabi. No Eldritch Horror. Are you kidding me?
Come on. Those ones are old. They're fun, but we're looking at new and fun ones that you want to go and get now, right? Everyone has those.
Lord of the Rings is 2011.
Well, yeah, but you got to have some of the good classics.
You guys had V Commandos. Who's played V Commandos? Are you serious? Oh. Anyway, go over to One Stop Co-op Shop. Go over to all the stuff they're talking about with the Co-op Cast and everything to check that out. They're going to have the top 10 coming soon. And hopefully I have a little bit of a rebuttal because I got some stuff to say about their little process over there. But anyway, so you can reach me over at ENGN_podcast on the Twitter. You can also check out our Facebook group, which is Every Night is Game Night. Board Game Geek. We got a geek list going. We have all sorts of channels so you can get in touch with me. Talk about co-ops. Next week, you are going to get Anthony. Anthony is going to be in all of his glory because we are talking all Euros. I will be in the corner. I'll be on the call, but...
Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Was that me? Sorry about that.
Didn't you fall asleep during Founders of Gloomhaven at GenCon?
We don't want to talk about that. Let's move on to another topic. That might have happened.
Anyway, thank you guys so much. We had a lot of laughs, a lot of good time. I'm going to sign off right now. As Anthony would say, go ahead and grab a game off of that shelf and let's make every night a game night. Hold on a sec. I'm in the basement over here, and whenever my wife flushes the toilet, it's not a good scene.
That just gave me really bad pictures in my mind of like poop flying everywhere. Even though it's not what you're talking about.
It's not. Yeah. It is not. There's a water pipe. Get your mind out of the gutter, literally.
I totally get it, though, but I'm just seeing in my mind. She flushed the dang toilet again. Doesn't she know why do we even have it? I don't understand. Why doesn't he just go outside? Okay, that's what weeds are for.
We also have a Slack channel if you want to join into. Let me start over. Oh my god, I cannot talk anymore right now. Okay.
I think you turned into a pumpkin. It's 11 o'clock.
It is.
I don't know. I'm rocking. It's only 10 here. What's your guys' problem?
Yeah.